about OPEC. Can I have a volunteer read our next paragraph, please? Go ahead, Kevin. Go.
Which paragraph is that? Oh,
Paragraph 4.
okay. Throughout the 1960s, oil prices in the world were not affected. Things changed when the Suez Canal was closed as a result of the Six-Day War in 1967 and not reopened until an agreement was reached in 1973. Libya, due to its location of not needing the canal to distribute oil, was able to create high oil prices to sell to Western countries. Throughout the time the Suez Canal was closed, the Western world paid high prices to get oil, and Libya became very wealthy from their oil sales. In 1971, the Tehran Agreement was created, which set prices for 5 years on oil.
Read one more, please.
Due to the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, the Yom Kippur War, the countries of OPEC worked together to reduce oil supplies and raise prices, and even cut ties altogether to countries whose government supported Israel. This is how the Middle Eastern nations used oil as a political tool. After the war, the sanctions were lifted, but oil prices increased nonetheless. In Iraq, oil income increased from $500 million to $7 billion in 2 years, and from $2 billion to $25 billion in Saudi Arabia. Issues of control, access, and influence of oil on the Middle East are now fundamental to world politics. The Middle East is a center for world politics and keeps outside countries interested and invested in the events that occur within the region.
Excellent. All right, what do we learn about? Actually, for the sake of time, let's just continue. Give me one more volunteer, Angelique. I saw that you were annotating, which I really appreciate. Go ahead and continue.
Okay, so, yeah, after the high oil prices of the 1970s, prices lowered throughout the 1980s and the 1990s. Even though the Middle Eastern countries wanted to make money, it was the best interest to keep prices lower so that the rich Western countries would continue to purchase oil instead of looking at alternate forms of energy. Due to oil being such an important worldwide commodity, the United States has often been criticized for entering into wars to gain control of oil reserves. This was a large criticism of the United States involvement in 1991 with the Persian Gulf War, and again with the U.S. involvement in 2003's invasion of Iraq. Can I finish, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oil income has impacted the lives of people living within these oil-producing nations. In the Gulf states, mostly Saudi Arabia, the income has gone to the ruling families. This has led to improving the lives of ordinary people, but mostly has led to keeping the power into the elite ruling family and ensuring democracy does not enter the country.
So what we're going to do actually is we are going to fill out that summary notes, but the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to share my screen to see some of the notes, and you guys can tell me if there's anything that's missing and that we should add on, and we won't have this up too long. Whenever I do have notes on here, I'll also kind of send it out at the end of class, but here we're going to have this up for now. Let me know if this does not work. Share my screen here. Everyone should be able to see my screen now. Do you all see it? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Excellent, right? So some of our summary notes that we have here, and we can always just add in, I think that we should add in a note about exploitation. But first and foremost, it told us a little bit about oil, telling us that it allows, things to be transported. It also can be used as a bargaining tool, right? So if you have an enemy, you can say, I'm not selling to you, or you can say, come to different types of agreements. And I'm going to add that often is exploited by Western nations. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Stefan. Caitlin. Yes, ma'am.
Are we supposed to write this down?
Yes. Just you write in the little box there. You can put in your own words, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, it also increases the wealth of Middle Eastern nations, right? But I'm going to say specific countries, because not all countries actually benefit the same. because of the different kind of relationships. And we'll go more into detail about that. Oftentimes there are wars that are fought over control, and this is important, right, over the oil reserves, which affects the prices. And I'll speak more to that in just a moment. I'm actually going to delete this last note. Why do you think a war might impact the price of oil? Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Why might the war impact the oil? Jason? Yes.
Wait, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so war would impact the oil prices because they would increase since oil. Wait. Since more people would want oil, the prices would go up so that the people could profit more off of it.
Exactly, right? And so I'm going to put you back up you if I can find you. So essentially when people are at war with one another, that is going to cause kind of more conflict and also increase the demand over oil. And if you're focused all your attention on the war, right, you need to be making more money. And so that is going to cause the prices to inflate. We're just going to take about 30 more seconds here and before we move on. So take the last few seconds to finish up. I think this last one perhaps is one of the more important points. Right, this point as well. And I think this bargaining tool, these are, I've highlighted the most important parts. Great. All right, take about 10 more seconds. All right, so I'm gonna scroll down here because I have a chart right here. And on this chart, what do we see? Raise a hand. What's on this chart here? Who have I not heard from? Looking through. Lewis, go ahead.
We see all the countries with how much oil they have.
And what do we have from those lines? I'm gonna mute you. Pablo, what can you tell from this chart?
We see the amount the different countries and how much oil they consume.
Yeah, what does consumption mean?
How much they like take in or use.
They take in or use, right? So these are the countries that are purchasing the oil. And who seems to be the largest purchaser? Pablo.
Okay, the largest the others, the green one.
I said the country, right? Others. Daniel.
It is the United States because the others, it has multiple people, so that percentage goes down a lot.
Exactly, right? It's going to be multiple countries in that other section. We see that like the China and the US are the major ones. And so down here, we're not going to do this chart, but I do want us to kind of think about what it is and what this kind of means. And I have a question that I want us to discuss. That's right here. So on this chart, we have the oil producing nations, right? And then you have the oil consuming nations. So oil producing and then oil consuming. So if you're producing oil, right? Let's say I'm Saudi Arabia and I'm producing oil, right? I'm providing the oil. That is the asset that's providing, right? And if it is being consumed, right, then I'm able to make a lot of money. And I can use that money to fund other projects and to help better my country, right? And so it is in my best interest that when I sell oil, I sell it at a high price, right? So that I can get a lot more money back and so I can invest that money back in my community. Now, what happens now if I'm the oil consuming nation? If I'm the consuming nation, right, I am providing the money. So I'm the one that's providing the money because the benefit that I get is that I can get the oil, right? And so what would happen if people stop producing it is that I need that oil for my society to work. So if I'm in the US and I'm purchasing oil, right, I need it because I want my society to function. I want my cars and different businesses, transportation, that's something that I need. But it is in my best interest that those oil prices are low because I don't want to spend too much money, right? So thinking about this relationship, which side do you think is in greater need of the other? Do you think it's the producer that needs the consumer, or is it the consumer that needs the producer in this case? Olivia.
It's the consumer that needs the producer more, because without the producer, the consumer wouldn't have oil to use to keep on building their country and stuff.
All right, does anyone agree or disagree with Olivia? Need some new voices. I don't have to cold call, but I will. Looking through you guys. Let's hear from Genesis. What you think?
Can you repeat the question, Ms. EJ?
Yeah. Who needs more? Is it the producer, right? Do they need more, or is it the consumer?
I think the consumer need no.
Bro, who's
The producer might need more, because if the producer has more, that means the producer is able to give it to the other people that's specific requesting oil.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, we don't necessarily know for sure. Who is Gregory and why is he in this call? Anyway, has anyone changed their name? Who is this? Anyway, what is happening here? Hold on 1 second, guys.
EJ, if you want to keep teaching, I think that they're like outsiders. I'm gonna.
I think the other class is joining. I mean, it shouldn't be in here.
Stay focused, Wyatt. What word do you want? Read me your sentence so far.
So can you try to troubleshoot that? Okay. We're gonna move on, but what I do want to tell you guys in terms of the relationships, who is greater, they both kind of are mutually, they both need each other, right? The producer and the consumer need each other because like the US wants the oil, but also the Middle Eastern countries, they need someone to buy it, or else it doesn't really benefit them if no one is purchasing it. But it's important that they can manage the price so that people continue buying, right? But on both ends, because the United States and other countries really need that oil, but also the countries selling it need to make money in order to essentially survive. We're gonna move on to the next text. Can I have someone read the first two? Actually, I'm just gonna call on someone. I would like Stefan to read the first two. Go ahead, Stefan.
So, Prime Minister. What?
Is that you? Turn it off. Thank you.
Prime Minister in 1951, he nationalized the foreign owned oil industry. However, with the help, hold up.
Okay, pause, Stefan. Kevin, go. Can I unmute you? Oh, this is not working. Kevin, go ahead.
Wait, we're on oil after World War II, right?
Yes.
Okay. After World War II, the countries in the Middle East wanted to gain full independence and push away Western influence. One way to gain full independence was to nationalize and take full control of the oil reserves within their countries. Do I continue?
Yes, please.
Iran became a focus during the Cold War due to its vast oil fields. The ruler, Shah Mohammad Reza, how you say that name?
Pahlavi, I believe.
um, favored the West, but nationalists within Iran could criticize his Western learning politics. When Mohammad Mossadegh became elected prime minister in 1951, he nationalized the foreign-owned oil industry. However, with the help from the United States, the Shah Pahlavi ousted Mossadegh and returned the oil industry to Western control, angering many Iranians. Despite the Shah using the oil wealth to build industries and giving back to peasants, opposition grew against him, especially by the extreme fundamentalist Muslims. Backed by the Iranian people, came to power after the Shah was forced to leave Iran. The new government was an Islamic state and forced tension within the West.
Thank you. Kyra, last paragraph.
Saudi Arabia has the world's largest oil reserves. Since the 1920s, kings from the Saud family have ruled Saudi Arabia. They rule the country in accordance to strict Islamic laws. Their economic development depended on oil exports to the Western world after World War II. This led to Saudi Arabia not wanting to anger Western nations or risk losing much of their economy. This led to fundamental Islamic followers criticizing the government close ties to the West, which they felt violated Islamic principles. Opponents to the kingdom's close ties to the West adopted violent terrorist tactics. This led to attacks on Western targets, including United States military compounds in 1996 and the United States consulate in 2004. The Saudi government feared that this would threaten their economy by losing relationship with the West.
Excellent. Okay, so what we're going to do with this text, just because we're moving into the last few minutes and I want to make sure that you guys understand what this passage was, I'm going to share my screen because you're going to do a quick jot or a quick write to answer this question using the text. So let me just share the question right here. So you should be able to see this question. I'll make it a little bit bigger right here so that you can see it clearly. How Middle Eastern nations trying to take control of their oil fields impacted their relationship with their own people, right, and their relationship with the West. I want to give you 3 minutes and then be prepared to share out your answer to this question. Every single person should have a response, and then I will just call you randomly to share out what you wrote. Use the text above to help you. Are there any questions?
Go ahead.
Any questions? Raise your hand. Thumbs up if you understand what you're about to do. Thank you, Angelique. Okay. 3 minutes, this question right here. Make sure that you're prepared to share out. If you're choosing not to do it right now, which I see a lot of you are, thank you so much. Kevin, Stefan. Angelo. Emmanuel, you know what you should be doing? Yes, no? No, the question is highlighted on your screen. Again, the question is highlighted on your screen. Jennifer, are you confused? Yes, no. Do you know what you should be doing?
Yeah.
Take an extra minute. All right, let's go ahead and share out. Can I have Manuela? Can you share out, please?
I said that it created tensions with both the people in the States and the Westerners, because, for example, it said in Iran that their ruler, they favored the West, but the nationalists in Iran criticized his like the way he felt about the Westerners.
Excellent. Excellent. Right. So it ended up causing tension within the states, these countries, right, and with the Western nations as well, and it becomes a major issue. Manually, make sure you mute. All right, so that's pretty much the end of our first class. You do have a little bit of homework, but it should not take you very long based on the reading that we had today. I'm going to share my screen. I'm also going to send it out to you just so you can have a sense of what it is, and then we will close out. So your homework is this last text. It's just the history of OPEC, and you're just going to answer this question for homework. How has the creation led to more independence from member countries, right? So examine why was it created, OPEC, and how has it led to more independence from member countries. You can either write it out, send a picture to me. You can share it with me on Google Drive, use your own personal account, right? So you can either write it out and send a picture or type it up and send it to me. Either one, and I'll send this out right after this meeting in Jupyter. Are there any questions? Great. All right. So thank you so much. I think this was a pretty good, we had a few hiccups, but overall, I think this was a pretty good class. Who am I turning this over to now?